Price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. Before we get started, please make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because we're on our way to 10K and all of that helps. Thank you very much. Now, the story with our brother Elijah McClain happened in 2019. People really didn't find out about it until it started going viral in 2020, because a lot of stuff was starting to come out in 2020. But originally what happened was the district attorney at the time, David Young, he said that there was pretty much no evidence. There was not enough evidence to indict the police officers, to put them on any type of criminal charges or anything like that. There wasn't enough evidence, and there wasn't evidence that the police, what they did was wrong at all. So because of all of the backlash and stuff like that during the uprisings of George Floyd, and people talking about Breonna Taylor, and people talking about Ahmaud Arbery and all this stuff that was going on in 2020, it put a lot of pressure on the governor. And what the governor did was had a special private investigator and prosecutor go look into the case, and his name was Philip Weiser. So what Philip Weiser did was he put all the evidence there, and then he had a grand jury come in 2021, September 2021, and they indicted all the officers, the 3 officers and the paramedics who were all involved in this situation. So this is how we got where we are now. And now the trial is going on. So this is to keep you guys updated. The trial is still currently going on. It's not like the trial's over. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. So I want you guys to like really stay up to date so we can understand what's going on while it's going on, because the media is going to kind of play this to the side. They're not really going to do too much with it. So we have to be aware of what's going on. So we're going to look into the details of the case and what happened, because a lot of people kind of got a misconception about what happened. So we're going to look into that. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
The trial is underway for 2 Colorado police officers charged in the death of Elijah McClain. In August 2019, McClain, a black man, was stopped by police while walking home from a convenience store.
Now, what they're not even going to tell you is the fact that he was stopped was only because he was black. That's literally the only reason he was stopped. He was stopped by just walking. All he was doing was walking. His crime was a black person walking. That's the only thing he was doing. This is what they talk about when they say proactive justice, proactive policing. That means stopping random black people for the sake of proactive justice because they look suspicious. This is what the cop said, that he looked suspicious. He looked like he was up to something because it was late at night and he was walking. And I guess that's reasonable suspicion to stop somebody. So they stopped him.
During the stop, one of the officers says he believed McClain reached for a gun. McClain was then put in an apparent chokehold. Minutes later, paramedics arrived and gave him an ultimately lethal dose of the sedative ketamine. It was later revealed that McClain was unarmed. Both the restraint the police officers used and the sedative administered have since been banned.
A lot of people might not know exactly what ketamine is and how that was used and how medical professionals use that. So we're going to go into it. We're going to explain what it is and how it's used. What is ketamine? Ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic that has some hallucinogenic effects. Ketamine distorts the perception of sight and sound and makes the user feel disconnected and not in control. It is referred to as, quote, dissociative anesthetic hallucinogen, because it makes the patient feel detached from their pain and environment. Ketamine can induce a state of sedation, feeling calm and relaxed, immobility, relief from pain, and amnesia, no memory of events while under the influence of the drug. And this abuse for the dissociation sensations and hallucinogenic effects. Ketamine has also been used to facilitate sexual assault. It's like a trank. Essentially what this is like a tranquilizer. like you see in the movies and cartoons where they shoot a dart or something and a person kind of just gets dizzy and kind of knocked out and they can't really do anything. It's essentially what it is. You can inject somebody with that, and that person will kind of get very calm, relaxed, almost immobile in some cases, no memory of what's going on. So this is why they're saying people use it for sexual assault, because you can give somebody that and then they can't really move. They don't have any memory of what went on while they were under the influence of the drug. So it is used for that. But this is what ketamine does, and this is what it is. Ketamine is an improved medical product as an injectable, short-acting anesthetic for use in humans and animals, and as esketamine, Spravato, the active form of the drug, as a nasal spray for treatment-resistant depression. So esketamine is pretty much an antidepressant. I'm not trying to get too medical with you guys as far as the medicine and as far as the pharmacy and all that stuff, but that's essentially what it is. So ketamine is essentially an ingredient in that. Now, here is the thing when you're just injecting straight up ketamine in a person. This is why you don't really see people in the medical field injecting sedatives inside of people or tranks inside of people, which is why you don't see police have them, because that can be a very dangerous game. You have to know the person. A medical examiner has to know the person, know how much to give them, and that can vary on a lot of different circumstances. How they overdosed him is the fact that you have to weigh the person. You have to give them a certain dosage based off of the person's weight. That's one thing. Then you have to factor in a whole bunch of other things as well too. But the thing is that they gave him pretty much 100 pounds more of what they should have given him for his body weight. He weighed only 143 pounds. They gave him more ketamine for someone who weighed more than 200 pounds. So essentially, they almost gave him 100 pounds more of ketamine that they would give somebody if they weighed like 250 pounds, like a big heavyweight boxer or something like that. Then you have to calculate, does this person have any difficulty breathing, which he said he couldn't breathe in the video. I'm not going to play it because I don't like the trauma thing. I don't want to bring up that, but you have to calculate the person's breathing, if they have asthma problems, if they have heart problems, all of these things. So this is why you don't just see officers or even paramedics just going around giving people crazy amounts of ketamine. That's why you don't see that. That was not an accident either. Them giving him that much ketamine was not an accident. They gave him 500 milligrams of ketamine. Someone his weight would at most need about 340 something. And that's only if. But the thing is that he was already well seduced before the ambulance even showed up. So he didn't need any ketamine whatsoever. They just gave it to him off this racist medical term called excited delirium, which is something I don't want to get too into, because it's a racist thing and it's really tricky to explain in a very short sense. But essentially what that is big super nigga. That's really what it is. It's like when the body becomes super strong and it's resistant to pain and you become like the Incredible Hulk. And they've used that with cases like George Floyd, and they use it oftentimes to justify police brutality, to justify police over abusing and over restraining a black person. So that's just a summary of its history. So when the medical examiners came there, what the medical examiners did was they instantly diagnosed him with excited delirium and then shot him up with a whole bunch of ketamine, which stopped his heart. This is one of the reasons why you don't see medical examiners, why you don't see paramedics giving people sedatives, because that stuff tends to stop the human heart. And when you stop the human heart, it's difficult to get the heart pumping back again. This is why you don't see people tranking people all the time. So when they stopped his heart, they rushed him to the hospital and they weren't able to get his heart started again.
A jury has now been seated in the trial involving two of the officers, and one has been fired. Two other officers and two paramedics allegedly involved in the incident were suspended without pay. All have pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Okay, just so we have a clear understanding of what's going on, all of the people you see here, all of their pictures you see, they're all being charged, but only one of them have been fired. The other ones are suspended from their positions. So they're not fired, they're suspended, but they're being charged. Everybody's being charged and they're suspended until the case is over with. So after the case is over with, if they get let go, they get to go straight back to work. Only one has been fired.
NBC News correspondent Tremaine Lee is following this story for us. Tremaine, first walk us through what happened in court today.
Clay, you mentioned part of it. A jury has finally been seated in this case, and opening arguments are scheduled to begin today. According to the courts, this should be beginning after lunchtime there in Central Time, so it could be underway as soon as now.
With all that said, what's next for the other officer as well as the two paramedics who've also been charged in this case?
That's right. It certainly has been a highly anticipated case ever since 2020. The killing was in 2019, but it really caught steam in 2020. And so this trial should take it's expected to last about a month. And then in October, the third officer, Nathan Woodyard's trial is scheduled to begin. And then after that, in November, the two paramedics, including those who actually pumped young Elijah McClain's body with ketamine.
By the time you all get this video, the trial will have already been started, and we're going to be keeping you updated on the trial. But I wanted to wait till the trial began to kind of bring this story back up to light, because the lamestream media is going to downplay this. They're not really going to make this no super big deal. You're not going to see this on The View or any big talk show or anything. So it's important for us to kind of breathe life into this trial again. So we're going to continue to have updates as the trial goes on.
And Tremaine, unfortunately, you've covered a lot of cases like this. What's the community response been so far now that the trial has begun?
You know, unfortunately, in America, we've seen so many cases similar to this. Unarmed black man or black woman in particular killed by police. And for a long time, there wasn't even a hint of what many would consider justice. Cops aren't charged, let alone arrested. In this case, had to have 3 officers arrested and charged, and have 2 paramedics, first responders, also charged. It is actually, for many people, justice in motion. And so certainly for Elijah McClain's family and those who have supported this case all along against these officers and first responders, this is a day, it's an important day, the start of something very meaningful for their family.
Yeah, we know you'll stay on this one. Tremaine Lee, thanks so much.
We're going to stay up to date on this case. We are going to stay up to date on this case, but it's very, very important for us to understand when cases like this happen, we have to stay on it, because the original district attorney, he said there really wasn't no evidence that anything wrong happened. Now this person, Elijah, for people who might not know, Elijah had special needs. He was a special ed person. So his interactions, he was very introverted. He really didn't like people touching him or anything like that, which is no excuse at all for what they did, because they tried to use his medical history against him. But the thing is that his medical history only proves that he doesn't, fight people. He's not a fighter type of person. So he himself was a pacifist because of, his medical situation. So with that being said, there was definitely no cause to sedate him. There was no cause to even tackle him or threaten to tase him or anything like that. There was no reason to do any of that stuff at all. Also, they were mocking his death after the fact. The cops were taking pictures where they were putting each other in cardiac holds, which is different from a chokehold, because a cardiac hold is when they cut off the blood flow from the brain, so the person pass out due to a lack of blood. It's not necessarily you cutting off the oxygen, which either one can lead to a person's death. One is a little bit more lethal than the other, but both of them can lead to a person's death. So what they did led to him passing out, and then what the paramedics did led to the ultimate thing, which his heart stopped and then he died. Okay, so it's important for us to understand exactly what happened, because what they'll do is they'll put a spin on it. They'll be all like, well, no, you don't understand. That wasn't a chokehold. That was a cardiac hold. So it's different. And that's a legal technique. What they didn't do any. So they'll play that little game that the difference between chokeholds, they did the same thing with Jordan Neely. They'd be all like, well, it wasn't a chokehold, it was a cardiac hold. So they'll say that stuff to kind of throw people off, because the average person sees a person with their arm around somebody's neck as a chokehold, and they don't know. But to be totally honest, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because both of the holds can kill somebody. You know, they can both kill somebody. So it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But the dominant society is going to play it like it made that big of a difference, or whatever the case. They're also going to play his medical history as if that makes a difference, or, you know, whatever the case is. So it's important that we understand all of the facts to this situation. Now, I'm going to keep you guys updated as the trial is going on, so we can, you know, stay up to date with the trial and what happens and what the prosecution is going to do, what the defense is going to say. So we're going to stay up to date with it. I just want you guys to understand that this is going on, because you probably haven't seen this trend. You haven't seen the mainstream, lamestream media talk about it. So it's important for us to talk about it. Family, I want to know what you guys think about this situation in the comment section below. What do you think about what should happen with the officers? What do you think about what should happen with when it comes to banning all this stuff, the sedatives, and pretty much tranquilizing people? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. Also, you should be following me on my various social media pages, which is Afro Elite on Instagram and The Afro Elite on Twitter. Before you guys leave, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. All of that stuff helps the reach and the growth of the channel, and we're on our way to 10K. And for everything that you guys do, thank you very much. Now, with that being said, my brothers and sisters, be one salute to every single last one of you all, and you all have a good one.